right, welcome back. A Pentagon document is contradicting President Trump's claim that he made on Tuesday when he said that he had contacted, quoting, virtually everybody in the military families who had been killed since his inauguration. A reporter for the Congressional Quarterly Roll Call uncovered a stunning exclusive email exchange between the White House and the Pentagon. The email showed that not only had the president not contacted virtually all of the families of military personnel killed this year, the White House did not even have an up-to-date list of those who had been killed and started scrambling for a list of names and family contacts. Let me bring in John Donnelly, a senior writer and reporter for Roll Call. He broke this story. All right, so John, tell me about how you learned about these Pentagon documents, these email exchanges between the Pentagon and the White House.
Well, first of all, you did a nice job of summarizing it, and I can't really tell you how I learned it, since that would reveal a source. But I will tell you that I did see the email chain, which involved senior people in the White House and the executive secretary for Defense Secretary James Mattis. And it was clear from the email exchange that even after the president had said in a radio interview on Tuesday morning that he had contacted virtually everybody, meaning virtually all the Gold Star families, that they, in fact, as you summarized it nicely, they didn't even have all the contact information, and they were scrambling to make sure that they had an up-to-date list of all those who were either killed by enemy fire or who had died in some other way, say in a military accident.
Of course, without revealing your sources, is there a way to characterize perhaps the word choice, the tenor in this exchange that ensued after the president would publicly say this? I think it was October 17, and then a scramble then took place. White House staffers, people trying to recover, knowing that what the president said, right, according to your reporting, was not true.
Yeah, there was one email that indicated that the reason that they wanted to get this information was because they wanted the president to be able to contact all the families. That implies that he had not contacted all the families. And so that's the gist of it. I mean, the emails were mainly, the president wants this ASAP, and they used that term ASAP. And so the replies were, here it comes. So it was pretty matter of fact, but it was clear that they were trying to fill in the gaps and make sure that they got it right going forward, and maybe make sure that they contacted more families as soon as possible so that it could be accurate as soon as possible to say, we have contacted all of the families.
So, John, how does this add to the sequence of events that the public saw unfold before our very eyes this week involving the Florida Congresswoman? And as we're speaking, Sergeant LaDavid Johnson is being laid to rest, one of the 4 Green Berets killed in the ambush in Niger. And it was the Congresswoman whose comments raised eyebrows in the White House, that she said Maisha Johnson, the wife of the sergeant, said the president didn't even seem to know his name. So now what you're reporting, how does that add to the accusations coming from the Congresswoman, her account of that phone call?
Well, my reporting does not really speak to that issue, does not really speak to her account or the president's response. What my report shows is that the president had not spoken completely accurately when he said that he had contacted virtually all of the Gold Star families. And it shows, and we actually found out that it wasn't accurate because news organizations contacted families who had not been contacted. So in the subsequent days, that became apparent. But what my report shows is that the White House itself knew, his top aides knew that it wasn't accurate, and they were scrambling to try to get it right. But let me back up real quick and say, it isn't that important that the president didn't call every military family, but what's important is that he said that he did. And this is a pattern of saying something that is not completely accurate, and then anybody who questions it is criticized in personal terms, And he has to say not only that he has contacted the families, as his predecessors have done, he has to say that he has done it better. He has to suggest that he's better at this than anybody else ever. And that kind of pattern has gotten him in trouble.
Yeah, and customarily, John, when the White House does reach out to family members of fallen soldiers, it's not always in the form of a phone call. Oftentimes they may get a letter, but that this president talked about virtually every family. Did it leave the impression that it was a phone call, that there was direct contact?
I think it might have left that impression. He certainly wasn't clear about it, and that's really the essence of the problem, is that he's not speaking very precisely about this sort of thing. And then when he is caught saying something that is not doesn't sound too true, he gets defensive and starts lashing out at his critics. And I mean, that may please some people in his base, but it also, I think, hurts him politically.
Did you reach out to anybody in the White House? Or I should say, what was the response when you reached out to the White House for a response from your reporting of these documents in the form of emails?
They gave me a statement, but it didn't rebut the reality of the emails. So the reality is, as I reported, that the White House aides realized that they needed to get the story straight ASAP, and that the story that the president had told on Tuesday was not entirely straight.
John Donnelly of Roll Call, thanks so much for your time and reporting.
Thanks so much.